Hey Year 12s! In this video, we're discussing rhetorical questions. We're going to clarify the difference between a normal question and a rhetorical question and explain why writers might use either technique. First off, what's the difference between a question and a rhetorical question? Well, in short, a question asks for information to be supplied in response. It doesn't necessarily have to be me asking you, where are the shops, and you saying, up the street. It can be me posing a question which makes you think, like, what's the environmental cost of owning an iPhone? And then going on to give an answer. In comparison, rhetorical questions are more like statements with question marks tacked on the end, which give the illusion of asking something when the answer is actually being implied. It's used in order to make a point without the expectation of reply. Secondly, how do we recognize the difference between the two? Unfortunately, there's no set formula for recognizing the difference. That understanding comes from looking at the context in which the question is used. Things that might tip you off to a rhetorical question are the types of question that would cause you to explain yes or no without any further answer. An example of this is, do we really want our road tolls to keep rising like this? The thrust of this question is incredulity that we're paying more to use the road, so a reader is unlikely to respond with anything other than no. Another tip-off to a question being rhetorical is the use of words like really and honestly. Don't get trigger happy though. Plenty of question marks that you'll come across this year will be genuine, not rhetorical. A reader might use questions to make a reader generally pause and consider the issue for themselves. Alternatively, they might use questions to structure the piece, such as posing questions that are answered in depth, similar to signposting. Before we talk about how these techniques are persuasive, let's test this on a few examples. It's time to act. If not us, who? If not now, when? What are we waiting for? What do you think? Genuine or rhetorical question? In this case, it's helpful to think, is the writer trying to get an answer or get their point across? In this case, the question is rhetorical. Alright, another example. Do steaks have a future in Australia if we ban alpine grazing? This one's a little harder to tell, and you would really have to use the context around the question. But from what's here, it seems much more likely to be a question which is being used to drive the article forward by posing a question that the reader is genuinely interested in. Are there steak dinners under threat? Finally, let's talk about how these techniques persuade. Rhetorical questions often create a tone, usually scoffing or incredulous. On top of that, their whole function is insinuating that the answer to the question being posed is so obvious that it need not even be answered. In this way, any other answer or opposition to that viewpoint is made to seem ridiculous. This can be persuasive as it makes the reader view an alternative answer to the issue appear illogical. Questions really need to be seen in context for their persuasiveness to be understood, but in short, they are commonly used as a form of signposting or to grab reader attention. This happens because if a question is being posed, particularly with pieces in the form of a speech or other spoken performance, the reader is being asked to engage directly with the material, which can grab attention. Alright Year 12s, I hope that clears up a lot of the confusion that exists over what the difference between these two techniques is. Keep your eyes peeled for both as you're analysing, as you can really show off your knowledge of the writer's tricks to persuade. Catch you next time.